All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I'm talking with Kathy, who is the creator of the Palm Springs Insider Guide. Kathy, how are you today?
I'm doing fabulous, and I just was outside, and it's a gorgeous day in Palm Springs instead of 115. So I'm really happy today.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, what's the weather like? I know it's been hot down there, and it always is in the summer. But how's it now that we're getting into September and fall?
Okay, so I was smart, and I just came back from a 17-day trip to actually travel writing trip to the Northwest,
Very
and
cool.
I arrived back in Palm Springs, and the temperature dropped to 100, which to us is great.
Yeah.
And I came back to rain, which is great, which is what we needed. And
Mhm.
right now they're predicting 95 for the rest of the week. So we are on the downfall. So I usually look at September 15th as the day when we can start living outside again. We've
Yeah.
got a great patio to get up in the morning to sit, and now I can start doing that pretty soon again.
Ah, well, that's exciting. Any fun plans that you have in mind for when you can get back outside?
Actually, it's interesting because I was just asked to write an article for Modernism Preview Fall Week, which is coming up in October. And that's when we go around and look at all of our modernism architecture, which was, made in the 50s and the 60s, where people come
Mhm.
from all over the world. And Preview Week is really when the journalists come in to start writing about what people will see in February. So we're pretty excited about what is happening here. A lot of restoration is going on in time to complete that. It's the third week in October. So, and even one of our banks, which is kind of the iconic thing that is always on the store, on the tour, I noticed is going through a refurbishment back to its original color and everything. So, actually,
Okay.
we're getting very excited about starting to live outside all the time, which we will practically until the end of June.
Hmm. Yeah, very cool. I actually have a relative who lives down there, just outside of Palm Springs, and he's up here in the Pacific Northwest where I live right now, and he's kind of has said the same thing in the past, where in the summertime he likes getting out and traveling and exploring different parts of the country, but then around that September October timeframe, he's excited to get back to Palm Springs and really enjoy all the beauty that Palm Springs has to offer.
Well, where are you in the Pacific Northwest, Kyle?
I am in Yakima, Washington.
Oh, okay, because I just spent my 17 days in Bellevue, Vancouver, Washington, and the beaches in Oregon.
Yeah,
So
very cool. Yeah, I was reading your blog actually before we hopped on here. Um, it looked like a really fun trip.
it was, and what was great about it is I feel really good that as a travel writer, you can call like Visit Bellevue, and they were particularly happy because I had a place to stay. So they didn't have to find me a place to stay, but gave
Mhm.
me some incredible opportunities to do wine tastings, and also took us to an amazing dinner downtown Bellevue. And then, of course, I explored some things on my own. So there will be some articles coming out on that. And then a kind of a very interesting thing happened is that as a travel writer, I feel it's important to have a mentee. I'm I'm one of those fortunate people that I am a mentee, meaning I have a mentor that I adopted along the way. And so, what happened in regard to Vancouver, Washington, she had received a request from a PR firm to review the beautiful AC Vancouver Waterfront Hotel. And ironically, she didn't know that I lived in Vancouver, Washington for 26 years.
Oh wow.
So I looked up the hotel, and it turns out that the owner of the hotel I was in Rotary with for a number of years. And so as a result, I got to go stay at the AC Waterfront Vancouver Hotel to review that. And then it turns out that the same PR company was also in charge of the Cannery Pier Hotel in Astoria, which had just been newly remodeled. So frankly, Kyle, I ended up staying in these luxury hotels as part of my quasi vacation that I just got to go on.
Well, shoot, that sounds like a good deal.
It was a great deal. It really was. And I got to take a friend along, which is even nicer.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So how did you I mean obviously that was a good connection that you had there. Is that how you get a lot of like opportunities to review places like that?
what I've discovered is, first of all, my mentee, Mary Shalabos, it has been doing travel writing for 8 years. So she's very well connected and she's someone that I can go to. So I highly recommend that you work to find someone that has been in the business for a while and is willing to share. There are a number of people, of course, that are not willing to share, and I run into those, and that's why I just so appreciate Mary. But what I'm discovering is that the PR firms are really the key to getting, the opportunity to stay in hotels and things. So
Okay.
they're usually in charge of promoting the hotels. But then, like in the case of Astoria, where I went to the Cannery Pier Hotel, they connected me with the head of the Chamber of Commerce, who then gave me some more opportunities to explore in the area. So to be a travel writer, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. It's just not a matter of you sitting in a luxury hotel all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm working on one now for October. I have made it a goal for my own self that I want to go on one travel trip a month and no more than that, because I also do dog sitting on the side, which is what I'm doing right now, sitting in a magnificent home here in Palm Springs. So what I do is plan one a month, and I have October planned. I'm going to Needles, California, which honestly is kind of an anniversary for me. It was the first place that I went for travel writing 4 years ago. Going back, and they're graciously welcoming me back. I just got a call from them. The itinerary sounds fabulous. So
Oh, that's
it's
so
a
cool.
matter of a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yeah. So that I mean, I'm as much as we'd love to always just be able to sit in a luxury hotel and just write and really enjoy life. Like you said, it sounds like there's a lot of work that goes into making these things happen, and I'm assuming there's a lot of logistical planning as well.
And then also the key thing is, we keep hearing about people not being nice in this world. Well, if you're going to be a travel writer, you better be nice. You
Yeah.
need to say please and thank you often. And also the other important thing, if someone listening wants to become a travel writer, one of the key things is whoever arranged the trip for you, make sure that you stay in touch with them. Let them know how it's going. And let them know if you get a letters of assignment ahead of time, tell them who you're writing for. And now this Northwest trip, I just got a note from one of the women who helped establish the experiences in Astoria. I said, Kathy, how did the trip go? And there was so much that happened. I just said, Carly, would you give me a call? I want to fill you in, because there were so many more things that I could explore. So yes, so it is please and thank you.
Yeah, it's all about being friendly and nice, and as you can see, it worked out really well for you on this trip.
Okay, so one of the fun things was I called the person who arranged for the 8C Waterfront Hotel. And I was talking, and I said, I had really a good time. And she laughed and she said, oh, I already heard all about you. I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And she said, no, it was a matter of everyone, the manager I had dinner with said he had a great time with dinner, and the staff said you were fun. So that's the kind of thing that you want to leave. And the other thing, Kyle, I think is important to have people know that when you're given these things free, when you leave, like for the rooms, for example, you were given the room free. You can afford to leave $5 a day, for
Yeah.
the staff. And also make sure that you always clear with people, like in regarding dinner, is the tip included or not? You want to go there on the side of being over generous versus knowing as, wow, she just wanted a free room or a free dinner. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think will really help in the future too, to potentially have future stays as well.
Well, even one of the things I hadn't thought about until I was sitting there was wine tastings. Visit Bellevue gave me wine tastings free. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, wait a minute, maybe I better, tip the person who was educating me on all the wines and so on. And I did, and I went back later and they said, you know what, that's just incredibly lovely thing to do. So I would err on the side, because let's face it, you're getting in a tremendous amount of, quote free things. So you can afford, to pay some tips out there.
Definitely. So, Kathy, how did you get started with travel writing?
Well, it is a fascinating story, because I was really kind of one of the top trainers on face-to-face networking in the nation. I traveled all over, and let's put it this way, 2020 sort of stopped face-to-face networking. And I lived in Palm Springs. I lived alone with no family nearby. And I really had the chance to reflect, do I want to go back into that in the future? And I've even written a book on it. And I was going like, or do I want a new chapter of my life? And I knew one thing, that my mom and dad had always taken us traveling every summer since I was tiny, on vacations. And so frankly, traveling is in my blood. So I was known as a good writer. And during the pandemic, what I did, I will remember as clear as the day, on January 1, 2021, I woke up and go, okay, I'm going to be a travel writer and leave face-to-face networking behind. Little did I know how many of the skills face-to-face networking helps with the travel writing. But I then spent 2020 taking classes online and getting my website up. So once we opened up to travel, Southern California, of course, there are many places to go. And frankly, that's what's launched my career of going to day trips and things. And my Palm Springs Insider Guide blog started being noticed. And frankly, that's how the whole thing took off, and that's how I moved into that direction.
Wow, that's amazing. So you just woke up on January 1st and said, this is it, I'm changing careers here?
Yes, well, I had to make a decision. I mean, it was very clear that if I were, and again, at that point, 2021, we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to last. I had no idea it would last as long as it did. So it was, and again, there wasn't much more for me to do regarding networking, because I'd written the book, I'd written all these all these articles. And frankly, that year of 2021, it was a great time to be alone, because that's when I could do the research and take the seminars. If I had not had that totally quiet time all alone, I don't know what my career would look like. However, I do not think I would be as advanced as I am writing for some major publications, because or slog, trying to get all of that done. So I'm actually grateful for having the quiet time during the year 2021. At the time, I wasn't grateful, but I am now.
Yeah. So how I guess in that research, in that studying, as well as your experiences over the last couple of years, um, how did that help you get connected with these major publications, help you get your writing published?
Well, first of all, I had the advantage of my father taught me it doesn't hurt to ask. And actually, that's the name of one of my books. And so that, along with networking skills, were really very, very helpful because I wasn't afraid to ask what if I didn't know something, I wasn't afraid to ask. And that's how I found my mentor. And again, I think it's important for people to have a mentor, find someone who's been in the field for a few years and seek them out and then start asking the questions. I'm not sure Mary ever agreed to be my mentor, but now she laughed. She knows she is.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating this morning, we woke up, Trav Media is one of the major sites for travel writers, and they send out a newsletter. And for the very first time in history, she had an article highlighted, and I had it highlighted on the same newsletter.
Oh, wow.
And we were writing this morning, and I said, you know what? This shows how well the mentor did for the mentee. And it was kind of a new milestone for us to have that happen to us. And I'm sure, frankly, she's probably as proud as I am that I got to be on that newsletter because that's a really big thing to be on it. So, how did I get into major publications? First of all, as a travel writer, you have to pay your dues and write articles for which you get paid nothing because you need some bylines. However, in my case, I had been writing for the Palm Springs Insider Guide blog, so people could really see my writing style. And people wonder if you're a travel writer, should you have a website? All I can say is that my website was a gigantic help in me moving forward because I could link to the website and people could see my writing style. And frankly, they could see that I could write on a number of subjects from hotels to attractions, various things that I could write about. And that's very attractive to people who want you to come into their communities because they want you to write about the attractions. Because even a hotel, let's say a hotel gets in touch with you, they want you to be able to, to write about the attractions that are around you because they want people to see it's a great place to come and there are attractions and they want you to stay for a while. So that was a gigantic help to me with the publications. But just recently, you have to accept no, which I wasn't really used to all that much. However, I decided, you know what, everybody keeps saying you got to accept no. So one of my great things that I'm very proud of recently is travel. I am just become a writer for Travel Awaits, which gets 7 million views a month.
Oh, wow.
And to me, when I got that publication after the fourth attempt, notice I said fourth attempt. I sent queries in for 3 others, and finally the fourth one was accepted. And then they did a trial one. And frankly, in my case, they did another trial because, frankly, I didn't follow the directions to the T. Key point, if they tell you how they want stuff submitted, submit it that way. Don't think you can change the title that they want. Anyway, so that was one of the big things that has happened to me recently, and it has opened up more doors that way.
Yeah, that's exciting. It sounds like you're really starting to take off in your writing career.
And frankly, I'm to the point. I just got a message from a PR person who I've written for before. So I recently got an email from a woman that I worked with before, and she asked me if what I was working on and if I was open to pitches. And I kind of said, me open to pitches. And I guess, that means she wants to pitch to me a place that I want to go. And so anyway, I sent her back an email and I said, great, I don't have my trip planned from November. What do you have in mind? So what will it look like? I don't know. But as you can probably figure it out, I'm kind of adventurous, and people like places like Bilton, which is 3.5 miles from Solvang. People cannot believe that I spent 3 days there, and I walked away from there going like, such an interesting town. I learned so much because when you stay in some of these little towns, you get the opportunity to delve deep and learn some of the hidden treasures. And I'll give you an example. Winter Gerhardt Beach in the Northwest. And the woman I was staying with says, we're going to the Coffee Girls for lunch. And I'm going like, okay. So we go to the Coffee Girls, and we have to go across a road, a dock that looked like it wouldn't even hold a car, but there were other cars in the other end. So I figured, I'm okay. So we drove out on this pier and walked through this gigantic warehouse and way to the back. And it turns out that frozen in time and still operating is the place where the women who worked in the canneries went for their lunch and their coffee.
Huh.
And incredible view, incredible food. And again, you had to delve in and stay in the community to find this place. I've never heard of it before. And what a great opportunity for a travel writer to have something so frozen in time and being able to share it. I guess that's the other thing. I think a travel writer who has a sense of, I just want to share what I learned. And as one of my friends said, Kathy, you'll always be a teacher. And I think maybe that is part of what's innately in me to do that, because the more I can share, and like you and I are talking, Kyle, I hope that your listeners can gain some easy insights that will help them be able to move forward quicker because you interviewed me on this podcast.
Yeah. I know I personally appreciate it in my own travel writing career, and I know a lot of other people will as well.
And I think that's what it's about is, and again, if I was lucky enough to have someone share the information with me, why wouldn't I pass it on?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always good to pay it forward, and like you said, if you're spreading positivity and you're being respectful, it'll probably come back around to you as well.
Well, and as this trip, and also to show you can kind of go back to what we were talking about, the preparations ahead of time. Before I went on this trip, I have 7 articles already approved to send to publication. So, and I was able to put the deadlines on them. So I'm not stressing myself out on writing. But, that's one of the things to do before you go on the trips. See how many articles you can write. Because I was able to go off on that 17-day trip knowing that I wasn't going to be losing any money. Let's put it that way. And that everything would be paid for. However, I had to come back and work and, do the articles. But I don't know about you, but there's still something about the article showing up with your name on it that makes you feel good because you're sharing what you've learned.
Yeah, that's if you can make all of your travel like that, where you got 7 articles lined up, that's a good way to go. What challenges have you faced in your travel writing career?
I would say the challenges probably was being able to accept no.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I think I'm a nice person, and why wouldn't you want me to write for you? But the reality is, you do get no's, and I think that is important for travel writers to know. often it's really not about your writing when they say no, because it just doesn't quite fit. Oh, and also I even got fired from a publication, which that was
Oh
fascinating.
wow.
And I think I'll share with you how that went. So I was asked, and I was very excited about a publication that I was asked to write for. And I get the request to write 72 hours in Palms in Coachella Valley.
Hmm.
Well, first of all, covering Coachella Valley in 72 hours is fascinating. But secondly, I had to time it out. I had to put 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And I'm one of those people who kind of goes in and delves into a story. But that really wasn't the issue. So I honestly worked for days on that, getting it done. Thought I did a really good job, and get the response back that I was not flowery enough. And the key was I used to be a business writer. So moving from a business writer to a travel writer, as someone pointed out to me, is an interesting transition, because a business writer, give me the facts, don't be flowery. And now all of a sudden I had to paint pictures. So what I did is start reading a lot of travel magazines. And again, key thing, read, the top of the line travel magazines, and read blogs that were written by top writers. Don't fuss with new ones. Go to the top. But what happened is I wrote it, so I redid it, right? And I sent it out, and I was really proud of it. And I get a note back and say, well, we've really decided that we don't need a Palm Springs writer. And I'm laughing and go, that was so veiled, I'm fired. I can tell I'm fired. But the reality was, I was supposed to be writing for the millenniums, wealthy millenniums under 30 years old. And apparently, as I have read the blogs and things that were going on since, I mean, I couldn't write that if your 100 years told me to, because I don't need four adjectives to describe something. I'm kind of good at two, no, at the most, not
Yeah.
four. And frankly, it was devastating when I lost it. And then actually, this just recently happened. And then a month later, I got Travel Awaits, which is internationally known instead of Southern California. So very, very fortunate. When one door closes, another opens. But
Yeah.
I mean, it hurts. But so expect rejection. And I was told that when I started, but I was going, well, it won't happen to me. Well, it happened to me big time. And on the other side of it, the joy is just this trip. And I got to say, not all my friends understand this, that I love what I do. I love the fact that I can go places and kind of be guided to places that I never dreamed existed, or honestly staying in a luxury cannery hotel. I can't afford $500 a night to stay in a hotel. But to be there and to experience it, and then be given the opportunity to write about it, to share with
What have you enjoyed most?
what I enjoy the most is being able to delve into areas where I go. For example, I would not have been able to know about um, the coffee girls. Delving deep into a community, and frankly, and this is another tip for travel writers, when they offer you one night, suggest that you get 2 nights to stay in a hotel, because when you think about it, now the check-in time is usually at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you got to check in at 3. That doesn't give you time to explore the communities. And if you think about it, the hotels already has dirty sheets and towels and all of that. So it's not that big of a deal. And they're, really very gracious about that, because you want time to dig into the community. And that is, to me, what is the really wonderful aspects of doing travel writing. because again, when you have organizations like Visit Bellevue or Visit Astoria, they know kind of the hidden gems and things that people are missing. And like I went down Astoria and I could walk through the Liberty Theater downtown, and it's being totally restored, which was the place where vaudeville was held in the 1920s, and it's an amazing place. So frankly, that's what I'm enjoying, and frankly, I'm one of those travel writers who likes to go to the small towns. The big towns have been covered. I've been to many of the big towns, but the little towns are the ones that have so much to offer. And a recent trip to Concord, California, people go like, "You went to Concord, California." It was a phenomenal visit there, and turned out that their town square is named by the California Planning Commission as one of three most beautiful places in California.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff you discover when you're a travel writer and dig deep into what's going on and quote, stay a while. That's what it's about. So that's what I love about it. And then coming home and sharing. I just got a note regarding my blog that you referred to this morning, that about my trip to the Northwest. And the person said, "I just love reading what you wrote, and I can hardly wait to read your stories of each one of those individual places." That's what I want to do. I want to be able to give the details so people can go to new places. And like in Palm Springs, people write the 12 best restaurants in Palm Springs. Well, I recently saw a list, and a bunch of them, frankly, I wouldn't go to. And I have some places that I would love to share, So it's an interesting world being a travel writer. And frankly, I think the world is kind of opening up to me. I am going to work on moving out of California to travel, on travel media trips. That's what I'm looking for in my next. I've never been on a real travel media fam trip yet. And that's what I want to do to see if I like that. And it'll be interesting because I'm so used to going on my own to places. What's the difference when you take 6 people along and you're all going to the same place? I don't know. So that'll be my next step.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit of a different dynamic there, I would guess. But yeah, that's amazing. It's really inspiring to hear your story. It's amazing to hear about your success. And, I'm really excited to see what you do. I'm sure I'll definitely continue to follow you and honestly take inspiration from you. So I really appreciate you sharing today.
Oh, thank you, Kyle. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And when you get to Palm Springs, I'm a really good tour guide, so do get in touch.
Yeah, I would love it. I went to Palm Springs once 2 years ago, but didn't really get to explore. So I'll have to go back, and I will definitely take you up on that offer.
Sounds fabulous. It really does. So.
All right. Well, thanks again, Kathy. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you around the world soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Kyle.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify and Anchor. And now you can also listen on YouTube. Links are in the description below. If you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page and or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my new show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to discuss one specific travel topic, whether that be questions I get from listeners, sharing some souvenirs that I've bought over the years, or discussing one particular city or country that I've been to, and so much more. You'll be able to listen to that via Spotify and Anchor as well. and be able to see the video version, which I'm really excited about, on YouTube. So check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And thanks again for listening, and I will see you around the world soon.